What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, April 9th, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 15:50 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you on the latest with Iran. So, as you know, Trump declared a ceasefire has begun as of Tuesday night. And so far, there have been numerous violations of this ceasefire. And we're also hearing that the oil tankers are not passing through the Strait of Hormuz like Iran promised. So it's very possible that the ceasefire may collapse in the coming days. They're supposed to meet in Pakistan, in Islamabad, I think Saturday. J.D. Vance, the vice president, and Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are supposed to go there on Saturday. We'll have to wait and see if that actually happens. But the Kuwait Defense Ministry is reporting of Iranian drone attacks in the last hour on a number of vital infrastructure sites across the country, despite the ongoing ceasefire between Iran and the United States. And the IDF, the Israeli military, says it is striking Hezbollah missile launch sites in Lebanon. So remember, there's supposed to be a ceasefire. The IDF is not supposed to be striking Lebanon. And Iran is not supposed to be launching missiles into Kuwait or drones into Kuwait. And according to Axios, citing an Israeli official, Israel will not consider Lebanon as a part of the currently in place ceasefire framework during their negotiations. So Israel is not considering Lebanon as part of the ceasefire with Iran. And the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, said there is no ceasefire in Lebanon, and Israel continues to strike Hezbollah with force until security is restored for northern residents. Okay, so Netanyahu, despite what Trump and Iran are saying, Netanyahu is continuing to strike Hezbollah. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. And the New York Times reports that absolutely zero oil tankers crossed the Strait of Hormuz since the ceasefire began 2 days ago, citing data from shipping intelligence firm Kopler. Only 4 ships carrying dry cargo crossed the Strait of Hormuz so far. And even where passage might be possible, most shipping companies remain cautious and are avoiding the route, okay? And Russia's news agency TASS is reporting that Iran will only allow a maximum of 15 vessels to cross the Strait of Hormuz per day. I mean, this is totally insane. I can't believe that Trump agreed to this. This is absolutely disgusting that Iran is dictating who can pass through the Strait of Hormuz. It's not their water. It's international waters, guys. Iran has no right to dictate who can pass through the Strait of Hormuz, and we should not be entertaining any negotiations with Iran. Okay, we should be bombing the crap out of them and opening up the Strait of Hormuz through military force, which we have the best military in the world. Okay, so I don't know what the hell is going on inside of Trump's head. I hope this is 5D chess, like a lot of you guys say, and I really just hope that this is not one of Trump's taco moments and he just chickened out, or he's too lazy to finish the job and he wants to just go back to playing golf every weekend without having the stress of a war. I don't know what's going on in his head. I can't speculate, but this is an absolute disaster. Okay, if this deal becomes permanent and Iran has the right to charge for vessels coming through, that is absolutely insane. And Iran is now demanding that oil tankers passing through the Strait of Hormuz make toll payments in the form of cryptocurrency, including Bitcoin and stable coins. Vessels have been told to email Iranian authorities prior to passage through the area with details regarding their cargo, which authorities will then respond with a quote for passage through the toll to be paid in digital currency, reportedly set at $1 per barrel of oil, according to the Financial Times. So this is just totally insane, guys. I don't know how Trump agreed to this. And oil companies are unhappy with Trump's peace plan with Iran and are pushing back against it, with discussions held with J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, according to Politico. The companies believe that if Tehran charges $1 per barrel or $2 million per ship, it could seriously drive up global oil prices. Okay, so companies are going to factor this in. Okay, they're not going to go through the strait if they have to pay a toll. They're going to figure out other things, or they're going to hike up their prices to mark it up to compensate for the toll. Okay, they're going to pass it on to the consumer. And the U.S. is pushing its allies to move quickly on securing the Strait of Hormuz after the ceasefire, asking European countries to present concrete plans within days. According to Reuters, citing 3 European diplomats, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has told his counterparts in NATO member states that U.S. President Trump is looking for commitments to a Strait of Hormuz framework within several days. So I hope that this is just Trump buying time to get this force together, this NATO force together, and he's just, playing the Iranians for fools and telling them that, yeah, we're going to negotiate 2-week ceasefire, and then in the meantime, they're preparing this massive multinational force to go in and secure the Strait of Hormuz. I really hope that's the case, okay? But it's really hard to say at this point. And the Iranian deputy foreign minister said that the U.S. must choose between a ceasefire or allowing Israel to strike Lebanon. They can't have their cake and eat it too. All right, so Iran is adamant about forcing Israel to stop striking Hezbollah as part of the ceasefire. And the Iranian ambassador to Pakistan has deleted his tweet earlier today, stating that an Iranian delegation is set to arrive in Islamabad. Okay, so it looks like the Iranians may not be showing up this weekend, so this could all fall apart by tomorrow, okay? And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video. And Iran's Supreme Leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, made some comments today. He said, "We did not want war and do not want it, but we will by no means give up our legitimate rights." He also said, "We will definitely take the management of the Strait of Hormuz to a new level." Wow. And Trump told Israeli Channel 13, "We're going to have a very successful agreement. It's going to be very good. Everything's going to work out very good." Netanyahu supports the ceasefire agreement with Iran. He's totally fine with it. Wow. So Trump living in La La Land. And IDF representatives said in a classified briefing on Iran that while there have been significant military achievements, the Iranian regime that has now come to power is more extreme than its predecessor. The explanation given during the briefing is that the elimination of the previous leadership has ushered in a new leadership that is more reliant on the Revolutionary Guards, is more extreme, and is less responsive to the political echelon, Israeli media quoting an Israeli Defense Force official. Okay, so the Israelis think that the current regime is more radical than the prior one. Looks like they're worried about the IRGC taking over, essentially. And we have some breaking news. Iran says its delegation will not participate in peace talks in Islamabad this weekend unless Israel stops attacking Lebanon. Okay, so we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out. As of right now, they're still striking Lebanon. Okay, so Iran will not show up for peace talks and basically end the ceasefire unless if Israel continues striking Hezbollah. And Netanyahu already said that they're going to keep striking, okay? And the head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization is ruling out any restriction on Iran's nuclear program during the upcoming talks, okay? So that's completely contrary to what the U.S. wants, okay? And the Pakistan defense minister said Israel is evil and a curse for humanity. Wow. And operational activities halted at several energy facilities in Saudi Arabia due to recent attacks. The Saudi state news agency said these attacks included one of the pumping stations on the east-west pipeline, leading to a loss of approximately 700,000 barrels per day in throughput. All right, so if you guys are not aware, the Saudis and regional countries, including the U.S., they built this massive pipeline that goes from east to west across the Saudi desert, right through the middle of the country to move oil from the Persian Gulf to the Red Sea, okay? So this way they're not reliant 100% on the Strait of Hormuz. And so Iran struck one of the pumping stations on this pipeline. It's like an artery, okay? If that pipeline blows up, that's it, guys. You know, oil's going to go up to, you know, $200 a barrel. You're going to be paying $15 a gallon for gas, okay? So there's literally just that one artery left. That's it. Strait of Hormuz is closed, and there's just that one pipeline. If anything happens to it, you know, we're paying $20 a gallon for fuel, all right? And Hezbollah has launched several dozen rockets into northern Israel since this morning. And the Iranian parliament speaker outlined 3 points, stating that Lebanon and Iran's other allies are inseparable from the ceasefire, and urged the U.S. to extinguish the fire before it's too late. So they're telling the U.S. to put pressure on Israel to stop striking Hezbollah. And the IDF is currently encircling the town of Bint Jabil in southern Lebanon with the aim of capturing it. According to estimates, there are between dozens and a few hundred Hezbollah terrorists in the town, including operatives from the Radwan unit, according to Israeli outlet Mariv. Okay, so just like 2 weeks ago, Israel announced that they were going to move north into southern Israel on the ground and capture a bunch of land up to the Litani River. And so Iran is now panicking because they want to force Israel to stop this movement northward to the Litani River, because this is an area that Israel has been fighting with Hezbollah over for years, okay? And Israel has finally gotten momentum because of the strikes on Iran. And so now Iran wants to quickly tamp that progress down and force Israel to surrender and capitulate to their demands, which is just sick, okay? Iran does not have the cards. Why are we capitulating to Iran? That's what we're doing. Trump has waved the white flag. He has bent over for the Iranians. This is absolutely stupid. We do not need to be doing this, okay? I don't know what the hell is going on. And right now we have a U.S. Air Force Cobra Ball. This is a missile detecting and tracking plane that is looping over North Dakota. Very interesting. We continue to see a massive movement of U.S. military cargo planes from Ramstein down to the Middle East, specifically looks like to Qatar and Israel. And this is just right now, this afternoon, you can see half a dozen C-17s. And then last night, we also had a large number of C-17s as well. So even though there's a ceasefire, we're continuing to see logistical movements, massive movements, okay, down to the Middle East. So this makes me wonder if Trump has a trick up his sleeve. And a U.S. Navy MQ-4 drone, this is a reconnaissance drone, started squawking a 7700 emergency. It's a mayday call while it was flying over the Persian Gulf, and it's quickly descended in altitude after squawking 7700. So I wonder if it crashed somewhere in the Persian Gulf for some reason. Maybe the Iranians shot it down, but you can see it was actually flying right through the Strait of Hormuz. It was doing an intense patrol of the Strait of Hormuz, and then it declared a 7700, and then it reduced altitude quickly, so maybe the Iranians shot it down. And here we have a picture of Israeli airstrikes on Lebanon this afternoon. Here we have a picture of Israeli airstrikes on Lebanon from earlier this morning. And eligible young men in the U.S. between ages of 18 and 25 will now be automatically registered for the draft starting December 2026. So they will automatically be registered into the selective service. So you used to have to like manually register for it, and if you didn't, you can get in trouble with the law. Now they just automatically do it, so you don't have to do that when you turn 18. And the FBI arrested a former U.S. Special Operations Command employee for allegedly leaking classified information to the press. And Iran claims the ceasefire was violated after reporting strikes on areas surrounding Iran's capital of Tehran yesterday. This was reported by Iran's state media. The Omani transport minister rejected the idea of charging tolls on ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz. That's what Iran wanted to do with Oman, and they said they would split the tolls with Oman. Oman said they're not going to do that. They said the Strait of Hormuz is a natural passage not created by human intervention, and therefore no fees can be imposed on it. And Iran's foreign ministry said today that the White House's claim that Lebanon is not part of the ceasefire is an example of reneging on the agreement. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the White House is considering a plan to punish certain NATO allies that U.S. President Trump believes did not support the U.S. and Israel during the Iran war. The proposal includes potentially relocating U.S. troops away from countries deemed unhelpful, such as Spain, Germany, Italy, and France, and redeploying them to more supportive nations, particularly in Eastern Europe. The plan remains in early stages but has gained traction among senior officials. So this is something that's been talked about for a long time, specifically moving massive bases like Ramstein to places like Poland, because Poland is a stronger ally of the U.S. than Germany is, at least in the last 20 years. So, the U.S. has considered, especially under the Trump administration, of relocating these bases to Poland. And Air France announced that they will extend the suspension of flights to the Middle East until May 3rd. So for another month, Air France is suspending flights to the entire Middle East, so they must know about something. And I wanted to just play some clips of Melania Trump. She spoke about the Epstein files today, and I almost feel like this was Trump's idea to put her out there and have her talk about the Epstein files. So I want you to listen. She basically denies having any involvement with Epstein. So take a listen.
Good afternoon. The lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect.
So she's basically saying that they're all liars.
I have never had any knowledge of Epstein's abuse of his victims. I was never involved in any capacity. I was not a participant, was never on Epstein's plane, and never visited his private island. I'm not a witness or a named witness in connection with any of Epstein's crimes. My name has never appeared in court documents, depositions, victim statements, or FBI interviews surrounding the Epstein matter. I never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell.
Okay, so she's basically denying all the accusations, pushing back against them. And Putin announced an Easter ceasefire in Ukraine from 4 p.m. on April 11th until the end of April 12th. And Russia summoned Japan's ambassador Akira Muto over reports that the Tokyo-based Terra drone company signed a deal with a Ukrainian developer of combat drones. Moscow called the move hostile and says Japan's current policy under Sanai Takachi has pushed bilateral relations with Russia to an all-time low. So it looks like Japan wants to build combat drones that are effective against Russia with a Ukrainian company. So this way Japan can have their own arsenal of drones to fight against Russia. And that's clearly a sign that there will be a big Asia war in the next few years. All the players are preparing. Japan, Australia's buying Tomahawk missiles and nuclear subs. Taiwan is building up their forces, the Philippines and China and Russia as well. So there is going to be a big Asia war in the next couple of years. We're going to see it. It'll happen later this year. Who knows? And Hungary's opposition party, Tisza, is on track to win a 2/3 parliamentary majority this Sunday during elections, allowing it to amend the constitution and key laws needed to unlock EU funds. Tisza is seen as winning between 138 and 142 seats in the 199-member parliament. In Hungary's parliament, a party needs 133 seats to obtain a supermajority required to amend the constitution and key laws. Okay, so looks like Orban's reign is coming to an end, and the reign of Orban's party is coming to an end. So we could see a major flip in Hungary's politics and also their foreign relations, because Hungary, as you guys probably know, is a major ally of Russia, even though they're a part of the EU and NATO. Well, now with this election coming up, that's going to completely change, and Hungary's going to basically be a pro-EU, pro-Europe country, not pro-Russia anymore. And the United Kingdom announced that they have been tracking 3 Russian subs for over a month in the North Atlantic. The British Ministry of Defense announced that alongside other NATO partners, they shadowed 2 Russian Shadow Fleet vessels that were being escorted by the Russian frigate Admiral Grigorovich through the English Channel. And apparently they were doing something near British undersea cables. They were just loitering near British undersea cables for a while, so that's pretty concerning. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on tonight with another update. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the notification bell down below to get notified. Also consider joining my Patreon. You can get all these updates ad-free and posted earlier than on YouTube. So check me out on Patreon. Also follow me on X. I post updates there throughout the day. My X account is at NYPrepper1. And all my links are in the description down below, including my Patreon and other platforms. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is Matt Hat Jerky. Guys, if you're a beef jerky lover like myself, you got to try Matt Hat Jerky. This is the best beef jerky I've ever had. I personally met the owner of this company at SHOT Show, and he's actually local to Pennsylvania. This company has an interesting story behind it. He founded this company when he was 11 years old. Yeah, that's right, 11 years old. He's now 19, and he makes gourmet beef jerky, the best jerky I've ever had. He's got over a dozen different flavors, and it's all sourced with U.S. beef, so no foreign beef, no nitrates, and no MSG. So it's all natural American beef jerky. And if you use my promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And you got to go to matthatjerky.com. And I'm going to leave a link in the description down below. That's matthatjerky.com. One word, matthatjerky.com. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off your entire order. And the link and the promo code are in the description down below.